Does a monster roam the remote forest of North America? Some know it as Bigfoot. Others call it Sasquatch. Eyewitnesses describe a creature covered with hair. Does a monster roam the remote forest of North America? Some know it as Bigfoot. Others call it Sasquatch. Eyewitnesses describe a creature covered with hair, walking on two legs, towering over 8 feet tall and sporting massive arms and shoulders. Join us as we examine the evidence, interview the eyewitnesses, and ponder the mystery on Sasquatch Watch Radio. And now, here are your hosts for Sasquatch Watch Radio, Billy Willard and the Creature Seeker.
After her husband was killed in a car accident, Vivian spiraled even further down the spending spree hole. In the end, she became penniless, would be removed from her family and friends. Callie Rogers, 21-year-old Callie Rogers, won the UK lottery. Her youthful age may have played a part in her money managing skills. Callie went under much cosmetic surgery, bought a bunch of houses, and went on luxury vacation. But in the end, she moved back in with her mother along with her 2 kids from her deadbeat boyfriend, William Pope. $16 million. Within 3 months of receiving his first annual payment, William was already $500,000 in debt after buying a restaurant and an airplane. Family members called out of the woodwork to get a piece of the wood. When it's including an extra.
Bruce, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, I had to call in on my cell phone. Apparently the call-in center in the studio is not working, but I guess we're on the air now. People were able to hear you, apparently.
I haven't said a word.
Okay, well, they can hear us now. So anyway, sorry for the confusion, folks. Welcome to apparently a makeshift, half-broken episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Today is August 18th, 2015, and we're glad to have y'all with us. I'm glad you hung in here until we can get everything operating again. And how are you doing tonight, Creature Seeker?
Doing great, Billy. You?
Doing fine. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, you sound a little distant, but yeah, I can hear you, though.
Okay. Well, we'll just have to work with what we got. So, my understanding is you've had a fairly good time during your 2-week vacation.
Well, we were able to get in a few expeditions. Well, an expedition and a conference. So the time off the air was well spent. So, you know, I'd have to say that I have no regrets.
Very good. I know that a lot of people are interested in the, I guess, the ongoing relationship between the Creature Seeker and Mr. Interdimensional Fred Saluga.
Well, Billy, I don't want to like jump the gun on this, but Mr. Fred Saluga was a speaker at the Beaver Creek conference, and you know, he was trying to start some crap. But you know, we'll talk about that later in the show. So first, I did a little backpacking expedition with my good friends Dave Rupert and Greg Kachua. We went. I was hoping that they would be calling in, so keep an eye out on the lines.
Okay. Well, I see Rupert is in the chat room, so.
Oh, he is?
Just a reminder, though, to Rupert, whoever else is calling in, don't forget to press the 1 key. That way it knows for me to bring you in the show. So don't forget to press the 1 key on your phone, if you can find it. Dave, don't go around in circles on the phone. Just press the 1.
So we went out to this area in the Allegheny National Forest, and we did a 4-day, 3-night backpacking expedition because we wanted to find a specific location where a sighting incident occurred. And the details of that sighting incident, I think, Dave knows it much better because he actually talked about eyewitness. But essentially, the gist of it is this gentleman and his 2 young children were looking for a very scenic falls area, and they got a late start, so they ended up being out in that area a little late. It started raining, and as they were huddled underneath this outcropping, this rock outcropping, allegedly a Sasquatch creature came right up to them and was staring at them inquisitively. And of course, they didn't stick around to find out what he wanted, so they took off. And I guess the children were really, really shook up by that incident, and eventually they did make it back to civilization.
Well, that's good.
So we were looking for that. So we were looking for that specific area where that happened, and the problem is that the area is sort of remote. So we had to backpack in, and once we got there, we set up a base camp, and we made little excursions to try and find this area. So we found actually a fair amount of areas that could have been the location for the setting. There are lots of rock outcroppings, and unfortunately don't really have any specifics as to which one it was, and I don't even know if the eyewitness does themselves. So we were down there. We were looking for some, any evidence. We were looking for tracks. We were looking for hair samples, scat, and we came up with nothing actually. So we didn't find anything down there. We were hoping to hear some vocalizations, and we were up really late, and we didn't hear any vocalizations. But one of the challenges for us was that because we were next to this creek, the creek was really loud, and so on one side was the creek, the other side were some falls, and between the two of them, you really couldn't hear a lot of stuff unless it was really, really, really loud. So perhaps if there was a loud scream or wail, we probably would have heard that. But anything else, we probably would have missed that. We even set out a digital recorder a little ways away from that area to see if we could pick up anything. And Dave was going to review that, and I don't know if he's had a chance to review that. But so far, we didn't see anything. We didn't really hear anything with our ears. I don't know what's on the recorder, but it was a really fun backpacking expedition, and the 3 of us really had a great time out there.
All right. Well, we got some callers on hold. I'm not sure if one of them are Dave. I do not have my phone list in front of me because I've relocated the Sasquatch Watch Radio studio, so I haven't gotten everything unpacked yet. So we're going to wing this. So we're first going to get the caller from the 814 area code. You're on the air.
Hey, Billy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, is this Dave?
Yeah, this is Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, how's it going?
So, how you doing?
Good.
So I was just talking a little bit about our backpacking expedition out there in the Allegheny National Forest. Did you want to tell what? Did I recount the sighting event correctly? Do you have anything to add to that sighting account?
No, other than the man, the witness actually was what he was some sort of business owner up in the area of Tynesta, and we were to meet up with him, and I don't know what happened, but he kind of like whether he got cold feet or whatever it was, but he actually never met up with us, so we never really ever got to we got to talk to him, but never got to meet with him to show us the area that it all happened and everything. But everything else that you talked about was correct.
Well, considering the nature of his encounter, I think he was probably not eager to go back to that location.
Probably not. I mean, if it went the way he said, I can't imagine he'd want to go back in. It didn't, like with the kids and stuff like that, being all scared and everything. It was on a stormy night, and we thought we lucked out because the first night of our backpacking trip was a stormy night itself. So we thought, oh, how perfect could this be, everything just, it was lightning out, everything like that, and just like the witness said, and we thought, well, how perfect can that be? The night's just the same. So, but unfortunately, we got nothing from the whole deal. But
were you able to review the digital recorder that we had placed out that one night?
I didn't. All I could hear was waterfall. The waterfall running the whole night.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went through it the best I could, and I couldn't hear nothing else.
And we had also placed out. We had 2 trail cams that we had positioned so that anything entering the camp or approaching the camp would be captured on the trail cams. And of course, the only thing we got on the trail cams were ourselves.
We're ourselves, yeah.
Yeah.
Which was still cool to do. I mean, I thought it was really neat to do that because if anything, there's times that I have been out camping that I didn't set up the trail cams and I heard something come in, whether it be, like whether it be a bear or deer or whatever, you would have been neat to at least see, instead of having a question, okay, what was it? You can at least see what it was, So but we did set it up. It was really a weird, it was really strange. One of the things we noticed the whole time we were out there, up to the last day, was we didn't hear nor see anything, birds, deer, anything. There was nothing out there. It seemed like it was just void of animals. Now on the last day, Bruce did hear a bird in the morning, as he was waking up, but the rest of the time it was just completely, like I said, just void of animals. And the only thing that we did hear, and we blamed it on a waterfall, and probably more than likely is the waterfall, is we could hear conversations. Like we could just hear, like if you ever was in a place where you could hear a conversation happening, but you couldn't make out what was saying. It was just we kept on hearing that, and we'd keep on going over the hill just to see what that was, to see if somebody was up there with us or whatever. But we never did see anything. But that morning, the first morning, I woke up and I went down to the waterfall, and I had my metal detector with me, and I was just messing around down in there, and I had my headphones on, and all I could hear was a metal detector, and I was really concentrating on that. And at one point, while I was doing that, I stopped, and I actually dropped my earmuffs down, or my ear, I felt I got this overwhelming feeling like I was being watched by something, and but that's all. I never found anything. I never seen anything, but that was the only few kind of strange things that we had happen.
Yeah, I forgot to mention them. So the whole time we were out there, I mean, Dave heard it, I heard it. I don't know if Greg heard it, but we'd be at base camp. We would hear these voices, we'd hear these conversations. That there was kind of a murmur, and it sounded, like some people talking.
It actually, to me, and I think you even said it did at one time, Bruce, it sounded feminine, like a female's voice.
Yeah, it did. It did sound low. It sounded, like either a young child or a female voice. Mm-hmm. And but I think that was just kind of our ears playing tricks on us, because with that brook next to us, and then the falls. I think, there's probably, something else going on there.
It could very well be, with the water going down over the falls, and it can play tricks on your ears, but it was still, I tell you, and then on top of all of that, what makes with that being playing tricks with your ears and stuff like that, but on top of all that is, it was so dark out there. I mean, I can't remember a time being in the woods. It was just that pitch black. It was, and even Bruce said at one point, it was like somebody took a black blanket and threw it over your eyes. It was just so black you couldn't even see your hand in front of your face or nothing. It's just absolutely just. We even at one point we walked sort of out in the opening and saw that the stars were out and stuff. So can't blame it. There was a light there. It just didn't penetrate them woods at all.
Yeah, absolutely. We were really thick into the tree canopy, and so the one thing I noticed when it started raining, and we were pretty dry for the longest time, and that was just because the canopy was so thick under there. And it wasn't until it started raining really hard that that we had to get under the tarp. But you're absolutely right, Dave. In other times we've been out in the woods, you've at least been able to, once your eyes get adjusted to the night, you can pick out darker objects from the lighter objects. You can pick out.
You can start. Once your eyes get adjusted, you can start seeing different shapes and things. But it just was not that way there. If it weren't for the firelight, it was completely pitch black.
Yeah, it was. It was just this inky blackness, and you couldn't even see 6 feet in front of you. It was very, very dark. And thank God that we heard the creek next to us, because that's kind of how I'd always keep my orientation, because I knew which side the creek was always on. And at one time, I don't know if you remember, Dave, but remember when we were doing something and then the fire died down, and then there was no light? Remember how dark it was?
Yeah, just amazingly dark. And it was so dark that one of the nights, each night that we was there, we decided to go on mini excursions, whether it's a nighttime observation or whatever. But what we did is we left camp, and it was after dark, and we walked over to the falls. And what we wanted to do is sort of set up on top of the falls, and then just kind of monitor down below with night vision and things like that. And so we tried to go over there as stealthy as possible, so we didn't even use any flashlights or nothing. And we pretty much walked over the edge of the falls. It was just that dark. You couldn't see nowhere that you was. So.
Yeah, that one night we tried to sort of make our way over to the ridge, and so we didn't even use any lights, not even the red light, and stumbling over things, and finally, I knew we were getting close. We turned our lights on, and we were right at the edge of that cliff. So I guess my advice to people who want to do that is, if you're wandering around the woods at night, by all means, use the light.
At least the red light.
At least the red light, yeah.
Yeah. But we really thought we'd sneak in there. We just said, let's leave off the lights, we'll sneak in there. But I tell you, like I said, other times I've been in the woods, you was at least able to make out objects, things like that. This time, maybe that was a little bit of a bad idea. So it was just so dark.
Well, Dave, we kept, part of that was that we kept hearing those voices. We kept hearing these people talking, and at times it was very distinct. It was almost, you look around, you'd hear the voice, and you look around, and there's nothing there, and you try to pinpoint where that sound was coming from. And so we were convinced, or at least I was, that there were people just over that ridge.
Yeah, so I really thought that at one time too, and I thought for sure we'd be clopping over the ridge and just seeing a bunch of people over there, but nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, there was nothing there. There were, during the day, we saw and heard various people, but I think they're trail hikers, and they were just sort of passing through.
Yeah. Yeah, but the one time that we went over the ridge after hearing voices during the day, it was two men out, and they took their dogs for a walk over by the falls. So, it just, I don't know. It was just I think that was one of the odder things that we ran into. Unfortunately, we wasn't able to capture anything on audio or video or anything like that. But just it was a really cool experience. So nonetheless, it was great being in an area that something happened, or at least somebody suggested something happened, and we did what we needed to do. Went down there and we lived there for 3 days, and it was really cool. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was a great time, and even though we didn't really have as much activity or find as much evidence as we were hoping to, the whole experience was really just very relaxing, very fun, and I would definitely just go out there just to camp.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yep.
Well, Bruce, we've got another caller hanging on here. You want me to bring him in?
Yeah, sure.
All right, this caller is from the 724-777.
How you doing, guys?
Oh, hey,
Brian, how you doing?
Good, man.
So, Brian, we had I think that pretty much concludes our expedition recap, right, Dave?
Yeah, because there wasn't much else to talk about. Only that just that it was just really cool, and unfortunately we didn't capture anything, but good experience anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, gee, how many times have we gone out and actually, actually had some activity? Not having any activity is like the norm, despite what you see on Finding Bigfoot.
Yeah, exactly.
Going out there and not having anything happen is kind of par for the course.
Mhm. Yep.
But in addition to that fun 4-day event that we had, there we moved from that directly on to the Beaver Creek Bigfoot Days, and we have Brian Seech, who, along with his wife Carey and other members of the Center for Cryptozoological Studies, helped put that event on with the good folks at Beaver Creek State Park. So welcome to the show, Brian.
Hey, good. Thanks for having me on, Bruce.
So, do you want to tell us a little bit about what went on over the weekend regarding the Beaver Creek Bigfoot Days?
Yeah, it was the first annual, hopefully the annual, which it looks like there may be a second one. It was Beaver Creek Bigfoot Day at the Pioneer Village. We approached them last year in July about possibly hosting a Bigfoot event there. And they actually, they got back to us in November, and they said, yeah, we're interested in doing this. So we were able to, we were able to get some vendors lined up, and all of our members helped. And I think it turned out to be a really good event. It was, I thought it was very well attended. The park board was very happy. I talked to her tonight after I gave her a day off of bothering her, and I asked her about how many people did she think that the park board had come down, and I believe she estimated the crowd at maybe a little over 400 because, it is a big, the barn isn't that big, but there was a bunch of places to walk around and go. So she said she thought maybe for the whole day there was about 400, which is really good for the first showing. I don't know what you guys thought.
Well, when I showed up, I think you and Fred Saluga were speaking, and they had run out of seats in the barn, and there were people standing up in the back of the barn where they were having the speaker sessions, and it was standing room only.
Yeah, we estimated that there was, because I think we had like 80-some chairs down, and there was only a couple that weren't sat on, but there was people in the back standing. We estimated close to about 95, maybe 100 in there when we were talking. And people came and left throughout the day for all the presenters. But before, hey, I'd just like to have a quick shout out to some people that really helped here. It was because of a lady named Karen Russo and the Friends of the Beaver Creek Park Board. They're the ones that we approached, and they're the ones that said yeah. So if it wasn't for them, we would have never been down there. So I give a big shout out to them. They're volunteers. They do all this on their spare time, and they their love and enthusiasm for that park really shows. And just a shout out to all of those members, and all of the speakers too: Fred Saluga, Dave and Carey, Rupert, Dan Baker, and Mark Hudak, and the CCS members that were there that helped out: Paul Johnson, Herman and Bob Cliffinger, Ron and Ashley Murphy, Jake and Isaac Rupert, John McDonald, John Smith, and Leah Madden. So everybody, and you, Bruce, obviously Bruce came in all the way from Massachusetts, and I think we teased him a couple times or two, didn't we, Bruce?
I think more than a couple times, Brian.
All the vendors.
Brian, you think it's funny to tell all these people who are Pittsburgh Steelers fans that I'm a Patriots fan? But I'm telling you, these people were out for blood. You keep doing that, you're gonna be minus one creature seeker at the next event.
Yeah, it was funny how everybody's tires were deflated.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Very funny, Dave.
Also, just a quick shout out to all of our vendors too. We thought they really came through. A lot of them came in late. We had a lady who sold crepes, believe it or not. We had Seth Breedlove who did the Minerva Monster. Mark DeWorth came also, and he was selling his cast and everything. Just a thanks out to everybody. Patricia Coleman came. Jamie and Denny King came at the camp. They camped with us. It was just a great time by everybody. It was just and all of Mark Hudak's group also, the Ohio Bigfoot Co-op.
Yeah,
most of them camped with us. They did a great job.
That's in your group too, Brian.
I know, and they showed up in droves, and they camped with us, and it was just all of them. Steve Blair, Richard Washington, Janine Hudak, everybody. They just did a great job.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that was really neat about the camp out. It was like, everybody was working together. It was really nice to have the different groups there and everybody getting along the way it's supposed to be. It was just really nice weekend.
Yeah, it was.
Hey, Bruce,
it really was fun.
Hey, Bruce, I got another caller on hold. You want me to bring them in?
Yeah, sure.
All right, caller from the 330 area code. You're now on the air live.
Hi, how you doing, guys?
Hey.
This
how you
is
doing?
Mark Hudak from the Ohio Bigfoot Co-op.
How you doing, Mark?
Good, I'm doing great tonight.
Mark,
Thanks for coming.
I just want to say that I love your guys' hats and the T-shirts that you had.
Thanks.
Yeah, you guys did a great job with that.
All the thanks for that goes to Stephen Blair. He's the one that hustled, because we had only formed like a week or so before, and he hustled and he came up with shirts, and I think he knocked everybody's socks off. So big shout out to him.
I think I even noticed that their business cards had their names on it.
Yeah.
Here we go. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Good. I have a suggestion. You guys, I was really intrigued with what you guys were saying about your 4-day hike deal. I try to put my voice recorders uphill at a reasonable distance, because I think if you're going to be approached, they're going to come from uphill. That way, if you're going to go to them, you're going to have to struggle to go uphill to get to them, and they're going to be long gone before you get there.
I agree.
Well, we actually did that. So where we camped, our base camp was sort of in a ravine, and we put the digital recorder up on the ridge.
All right.
So it was at the highest spot, near our camp that we could find.
Cool. Good deal then. Then I ain't preaching to the choir then. That's all I'm doing.
So, Mark, how did you come up with that name, the Ohio Bigfoot Co-op?
It was pretty much an agreement we all decided upon. What we want to try to do, we started up on Facebook. Look us up on Facebook, please, by all means. We want to try to bring some cooperation between the groups, because there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of cooperation going on all the time with the different groups. And we should all be working together for the same goal. It doesn't matter who wins, but we're all trying to go for the same goal, and that's to get as much information as we can out there. Not just for us to know, but for the general public. Correct?
Definitely. Definitely.
So for Mark, for you, you were obviously a speaker. You had a great presentation. For you, what was the highlight of your weekend at the Beaver Creek?
The whole weekend, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, from the moment we got there till the moment we left, we had a blast. Brian Seech, Dave Rupert, his family, their family, everybody was great. That was one of the best campouts I've ever been on. And on a side note, too, on one of the hikes we went going down to Gretchen's Lock and back, I noticed a rock stack right out there in the middle of the creek. And went out, waded out to it, and took pictures of it and everything else. And it's pretty intriguing looking because there's some very large and very small rocks that are put into this rock stack.
There are similar rock stacks over at the falls. I think, Dave, did you take any pictures of those rock stacks?
I did take pictures of the rock stackings over at the falls. They were kind of put in formations of what was supposed to, I believe, what was supposed to mimic maybe people. Do you know what I mean?
It looked like a stick figure, right?
Yeah, it almost like they were trying to make a stick figure out of them. But the only problem with that is with the visitors that the falls get. So I wondered if they maybe did that. That's what I was kind of putting it up at. But
yeah, you can never rule that out.
Yeah. And when we were packing up on Sunday, there were a bunch of people inner tubing down the river right next to our camp, and so there is accessibility to that area where the rock stack was. But I mean, you know what, Mark? You never know, right?
Yeah, you never know. What I found was impressive with it was a lot of the rocks. There was 3 or 4 of the rocks that were very good size, at least bowling ball size. So they had to be considerable weight. I don't think a kid would have done it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
And speaking of Gretchen's Lock, can one of you tell the story of Gretchen's Lock?
that would probably have to be Brian. He probably remembered just a little bit better than the rest of us.
Okay, Brian, can you tell us the story of Gretchen's Lock?
Well, that was basically, there was a young girl named Gretchen who actually was supposed to be married, and her husband, I forget kind of the whole story. He was either killed or didn't come back, and she mourned and mourned for him, and she ended up just getting sick and passing away. And supposedly they buried her in that lock, and supposedly her ghost still haunts that whole general area. Actually, Carey's a lot better at that than me, but she just had to run out the door. So, but that's kind of the gist of it. And there's been a lot of stories, about Native Americans, Native American ghosts down there as you're walking down. Our psychic Leah, she one time when we walked down there, she felt like a strong Native American presence along that path, Gretchen's Lock. And actually, Ron Murphy, he shared a couple photos to Facebook, and in one of them, it was that Saturday night when he took his family down there, and his kids were getting a little spooked, and he took a picture of one, and in one picture, up on the left-hand corner, it appears to be two eyes. Now, I don't know, the context of where exactly he was taking them. Maybe there was an animal in the tree, and, the flash reflected off of the eyes. They are too small, but they look like eyes, and I'm guessing that they were up in a tree. Again, like I said, I don't know the full text, the context of where exactly the picture was taken, so I'd have to, but it is pretty interesting, though. I think, Dave, you saw them.
Yeah, I did.
I don't know if Bruce saw them when he was down there or not. I mean,
hey, not to interrupt, Bruce, but Carey just mentioned she does have the legend or the story of Gretchen written down. If you'd like to hear it the whole way.
Is there anyone? Is there anyone in that household that can read?
Carey. That's why I told Carey has it. I'll have her.
Oh my God!
All my favorite books were on DVD. Would you like her to read that to you real quick, or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Hello?
All right, so this is Carey Rupert, Dave's wife, the silent executioner.
Yeah.
And she's going to read us the history of it was sort of the story behind Gretchen's Lock, right?
Yeah, I'll go over just a few of the highlights of what happened at the lock. Now, it's E.H. Gill. The legend is E.H. Gill, a canal engineer, and his daughter, Gretchen. According to the legend, E.H. Gill, his wife, and daughter were traveling. They came from Europe to the United States. Now, his wife died on the way and was buried at sea. The grief-stricken father and his little daughter, Gretchen, they completed the journey, and at the time, the lock above Spruce Vale was being built. Gretchen, she contracted malaria, and she died. And a crypt was prepared in the masonry, like Brian said, of the lock, and that's where Gretchen was entombed for a while. And then when her father resigned during the Panic of 1837, he decided to return to Europe and take Gretchen's casket and body with him. It was removed from the crypt in the lock and taken aboard the ship to be returned home for a proper burial. But on the trip, a storm at sea took the ship, and they were all lost. And Gill and Gretchen joined the wife and mother in the waters of the Atlantic Ocean. And it says, on Gretchen's lock that you can actually hear her calling for her mommy, that she mourns for to be with her mom. So that's what the legend of Gretchen was. And we did see some lights, but we don't know if it was a firefly or what we were seeing.
Well, to this day, so I'm glad you brought that up, Carey. So who was there? Carey, you were there. Dave, you were there. I was there. I don't know. Mark, were you there? Mark Hudak?
We were down there Friday night.
That's right.
We walked down there halfway back. We stopped, and we happened to notice what looked to be an orb coming down the creek, headed towards the lock.
Well,
we only saw it briefly.
I think Brian Seech was there the night that we were there. So there was a bunch of us there, and we were going to see Gretchen's Lock. Now, Gretchen's Lock is a hot spot for ghost hunters. There's always people down there, raising ruckus. So we make our way down there, this trail, and so we're down there. We turn off our lights, and we decide to do some. Carey, we tried to do some EVP recordings, right? So
yes, we did, and Jamie and Jenny King were with us as well, and and Blue Tracker was down there with us. So and Nat Man. So we had quite a few people that saw this.
Yeah, so we're just, for me, it was just kind of a sightseeing thing. I wasn't really expecting any paranormal activity. But to this day, it will still be highly controversial what we saw. Now, we saw, it looked like there are two things. One was, and I'm just telling you what I saw, one was like a very, very dim blue light. And then another time I actually saw kind of an orb that was, it would glow and then it would disappear. So the dim light could have been the reflection off of someone's flashlight, or that blue orb could have been a firefly. I mean, we'll never know. But there's other people in the group who think it wasn't a firefly. That I think Jenny King thought that was some paranormal activity, right?
Right, yeah, because she said fireflies go in the shape of a J, and she knows her fireflies and things like that. So she really looks into nature things. They love like mushrooms and all the different insects in the woods and flowers, and they're very educated on those kind of things.
So what do you mean she knows her fireflies? What's that mean?
Brian, you've known them longer than I have.
Yeah, we've known Jenny and Jamie for a while. They're very well versed, like with outdoors and the nature, and she actually does. I guess she studied up on certain insects, and apparently fireflies on one of them. I mean, she kind of knows, she studied them and stuff like that. So,
so she's like a fireflyologist or something?
Ologist. Yeah, something like that.
Etymologist. An etymologist.
Yeah, that's the word.
But it was a good time. I mean, it was neat. And Brian, you were up on top, and
me and John McDonald were up on top. Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys did have your flashlights, and we did reenact all that to see if that's what we were seeing. But it really wasn't. That I don't think that it. I mean, we could see your flashlight coming over the lock, but I don't think it had anything to do with, like, when we were asking questions and that light would appear, and so many of us saw it. I can't completely rule out that it wasn't something paranormal. So that's my thoughts. I mean, but I can't say for sure either. I wish I could, but I still have to look at the video on that. I still need to take time to do that. So I'll let you know. But it was everything was wonderful. We had such a great time. All the way around, being with all you guys and the other groups, and getting out and researching. We went out like 3 or 4 times in the woods, and then the next day, listening to all the speakers. And thank you, Brian, for having us speak. We really enjoyed that. Getting the word out.
Yeah, as much as it pains me to say this, and trust me, it does, you and Dave actually had a great presentation. You guys did a great job.
Wow, Bruce, thank you.
Yeah.
I have to write this one down.
Yeah, it was actually very entertaining.
Now, if I could just get you to, like, eat some of my food, we'd be good.
Hey, I'm not right? I just
baby steps, baby
from the
steps.
vegetable food group.
We thought all the speakers did a really great job. I mean, I think we had a nice lineup, and it just worked out. The people really, really liked it and enjoyed it, and we're just lucky to have the friends and all the people that help us that we do. It's just, that's what makes all this stuff worthwhile.
Yeah, it really was a good crew.
Yeah, we're lucky
Bruce.
to have you and Terry.
Hey, Bruce, we got another caller on hold.
Do you want me to leave?
No, you can stay.
Okay.
Caller from the 757 area code. You're on the air.
Good evening, Billy. How are you doing this evening?
Doing fine. Who do we got?
My name is Fred. I've been a long-time listener of your show. I've been listening to you all the way back to when you were with the blog Squatcher even, and just enjoying the opportunity to actually get to listen to you live for once. I've been living out of the country for the last 8 years, so it's great to be back in the States and actually get to listen to you live instead of on podcast.
Oh, is this Fred from, you've been stationed over in Japan? Is this the Fred that I'm thinking? Hey, man.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the States, and thank you for your service.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I just retired over here and got a job down here in Norfolk, so thoroughly enjoying my time back. But I had a question for Bruce. So I understand that your little your 4-day expedition you did, so you were saying that there was really no animal sounds. It was pretty quiet up there except for the sounds of the waterfall and the river in that area. Is that right?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, and then you also heard this odd, what sounded like voices or something to that effect.
That's what it sounded like. I think the water was playing tricks on our ears, basically.
Yeah. And that would be my first assumption as well. The other question I have is, did one of y'all say you were listening or using some type of metal detecting equipment in that area?
Yes, Dave was.
Dave was. Did
yes.
he pick up anything unusual, magnetic wise? Any type of unusual minerals or anything like this?
No, it was not mineralized ground at all. I was able to find things easy when I got a hit on my metal detector, it was actually something that I could physically reach down and grab. Other than that, I didn't have to ground balance it, So.
Okay. The reason I ask is I was listening to another show just a few days ago, and that is had a gentleman by the name of Jack Carey on, and he was discussing, specifically he was talking about David Paulides' Missing 411 series.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to be right up your alley there, Bruce. He was theorizing that some of the missing situations could be as a result of areas that have unusual magnetic properties and things like that. That sometimes, and his thought is that it creates some type of a dimensional rift.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go, Bruce. You ought to like that.
Oh boy, don't say that to Bruce.
What that is really interesting about that, though.
And the
That aside, though, he said that that some of the actual hard science behind this says that that it does have a sound dampening effect to it. And I'm wondering, if that could be the case, that you were, if there was such a situation going on there was kind of some type of sound dampening that could also result in, you having that feeling of being watched, and, even the possibility of Bigfoot coming through, the interdimensional rift and coming for you, Bruce.
Run and hide right now, sir. Run and hide.
Well, first of all, why is it that everyone who's named Fred has to come on the show with their interdimensional theories?
Because we're all from another dimension, and where that's our whole purpose in life.
What's interesting about him bringing up David Paulides is the area that we were in was actually mentioned. It was the Allegheny National Forest. So in the Pennsylvania area, it was actually a big red dot of missing people. Maybe there's some sort of tie there. But.
Well, so let me just address Fred's question. So, could there be a sound dampening field? I don't know. I wasn't. To me, nothing seemed out of the ordinary in terms of our instruments. So my compass ran through, and I tested that against my GPS. I just think that the water was just so loud that, if anything was dampening the sound, it was just the sound of the water in the brook. And as far as that feeling being watched, I didn't really feel like I was being watched. But when we made it down to the area where that would eventually become our base camp, there was a part of me that wanted to camp on the high ground because I didn't want anything overlooking our campsite. I don't know, Dave, do you remember that?
I remember you saying that. He was really adamant about it. Like, you got a feeling. He kind of tell you had a feeling about that. He was a little, he wanted us to get up higher because he felt like he was afraid that something was going to watch us, or out of concern that something was going to watch us from above. And it wound up we sat in an area that was lower anyway. But I was the one that got the feeling of being watched down below at the falls, and it was really overwhelming. It was something that I can honestly say that I'm not even sure if I ever had that feeling before or not. I can't recall that.
Well, you see, I just find that interesting, and I was wondering that also if you were camping in an area that that he's identified as a cluster, and I think that just leads to granted it's circumstantial at best, but I think it is a possible indicator that there is something unusual going on out there. I'm hoping to, now that I'm back, I'm hoping to actually get the chance to get out there and do some camping and exploring myself. So I might just head up your way, Billy, and go with you somewhere someday when I get a chance.
Well, that would be great. That'd be great, Fred. I'd like to meet up with you. You and I have kind of corresponded a little bit on Facebook back and forth, and that'd be great to meet you.
Yeah, and I'll know to guard my Oreos and my chocolate pies, and also my ribeyes.
That's exactly right.
Now Dave can back me up on this. Dave, what did we have for dinner the very first night we camped out?
Oh, we had these beautiful New York strips, and they were big and fat, just the fattest New York strips I believe I've ever had. And
well, actually, they were ribeyes. They weren't New York strips.
Were they ribeyes? I thought
they were ribeyes. Yeah.
Okay, they were ribeyes, and we did them on over the fire with sticks. What was really funny though about the whole experience, the 4 days that we were out there, is if it didn't hit the ground first, it wasn't done.
Yeah.
So just about everything we cooked went on the ground first. So we had a lot of extra seasoning.
Yeah, I got to get that seasoning in there. Makes it
Well,
the
we
leaves
did,
this time
we
of year was really good.
We didn't bring any grills or anything, so basically most of our food was cooked over an open fire. And so, when you're cooking things like, sausages or steaks or something like that, you gotta make these huge skewers for them, and sometimes they don't stay on the skewer. But yeah, so Fred, it's really it's actually great to finally talk to you. I've heard this rumor about some guy in Japan listening to the show, but I never knew your name. But it's good to know that you're back in the States, and we thank you for listening to the show.
Yeah, I've
Thank you.
like I said, I started picking up listening to y'all back in I think it was 2008, and been listening every day. And of course, there was no opportunity for me to really listen live or call in because it's if I look at my watch right now, it's 10 o'clock tomorrow morning there already. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'd already be at work, whenever y'all would be live. So I'd just always have to catch on podcast. But I did do some background research into some activity there in Japan. Now they do have indigenous primates in the islands there. But what I found interesting was that there were a lot of legends of the Tengu, which are these mountain demons. They're legendary creatures that supposedly run around in the mountains up there. And a lot of the stories about them did mimic, what you would consider to be Sasquatch, and some of their habits and their habitats. Now, there's been no reported sightings of any Bigfoot-like creatures in the islands that I know of, except for one, which was down in the island of Kyushu. But even then, this one blob squatch that they had of it, it looked more like, frankly, I think it looked more like an orangutan more than anything else, and those could be something that are kind of common in that area. There are some, like I said, some indigenous primates to that area, but yeah, looking in the folklore, it kind of corresponded with what you hear with the First Nations people here, how they relate the stories of the hairy people or these tribes that live apart. And Japan certainly has its fair share of them.
Now, Fred, at the base of Mount Fuji, there is
Suicide Forest.
I got a forest called the I think it's called. Well, your Japanese is probably better than mine, but is it the Aokigahara?
Yeah, it's the Suicide Forest.
The Suicide Forest. Now,
yeah,
that is supposed to be the creepiest of all forests because
yes,
you walk through there and you'll see remnants of people's tents or whatever. You'll see, and sometimes you'll see bodies.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. They, it's a forest area on the northern edge of the of Mount Fuji. It's probably, I guess, about 10 square kilometers, give or take. But one of the interesting things about it is that you see a lot of strings going into the forest, and the reason is because it's a very thick forest, so you're of course apt to get lost in there. But it's also highly magnetic. So if you go in there with a compass, using standard practice land navigation practices, it's pretty much useless, and you'll get lost very easily. And that's what these people will do. They will. What is it? Aokigahara. That's what my wife told me. Aokigahara. That's what it's called. They'll go off in there and they'll just die. Some of them, they suspect, they may get lost and, die of exposure. But other people do intentionally go into this area and, either shoot themselves or they'll starve themselves to death. No one knows exactly why they do it, but about once a year, the Japanese police does go out there and they kind of form a big line, and they walk through the forest and see what they can find, and very often they do find abandoned camps, and they do find human remains in the forest.
It's a good thing Carey lives here in the States, because she'd probably get blamed for cooking dinner for them.
Well, Dave, that's probably a much more painful way to go than the path that those folks chose in the suicide forest. Let me just say that. Poor Carey.
Yeah, but I've been close to that. It is a kind of a creepy spot, and of course, you've got in that area, Fuji just dominates the landscape. It just absolutely dominates it. It's everywhere, and of course, it's the whole area is volcanic, and you do have a lot of outcroppings where it's even possible that they just died accidentally, because there's area where you have gas vents and H2S stuff just welling up out of the cracks and stuff.
Well, so in addition to that, it's just I wanted, the reason why I brought that up is I wanted to tie that back into your question about the ground having minerals or magnetic properties that you had asked us about our backpacking trip, and I think it was an episode of Destination Truth, and Josh Gates and his team were in there, and they actually, on film, they were able to capture some sort of apparition in the forest, and it was an apparition, and then you could see it right before your eyes shrink down into nothing. It was very weird, very weird.
I would not doubt it. That those, for such a small area, that Japan has more tales of cryptids and spirits and stuff than you can possibly imagine. I mean, like, over here you got what? You got the Dogman, you got Sasquatch, you got your occasional lake monster, and every now and then you get your weird anomaly like your Jersey Devil. Well, over there they've got the tofu boy. They got the lanterns that walk around chasing you. They have the no-face people. Oh God, what is the other ones?
You guys have got Godzilla. You got the best one. You got Godzilla over there.
Oh yeah, and we got Godzilla, Mothra. They got it all.
So, one of the things I wanted to do was, briefly talk about. Well, Fred, now that we have you on the show here, have you ever been to a conference?
No, I have not. I've never. This is one of those things where I've always had an interest in Sasquatch, but I was pretty much limited to, just watching TV shows, reading books, because the minute I would want to go out and do something, we'd be getting underway to go overseas somewhere, and then of course, being in Japan, just never had the time or anything. But now that I'm back, and now that I'm settled, and I know I'm not going anywhere anytime soon, I would love the opportunity to actually, get up there and go see some of these things.
Well, so I wanted to ask Dave, Carey, and Brian. So briefly, for in your opinion, this past weekend, what parts of the event do you think would be most attractive to someone who had never been to a conference and was just sort of going to show up to participate? Let's start with you, Dave.
Well, I think just to see how the how the community interacts with each other. It's somewhat like sort of like a fun family type thing, and to get to hear what other people have to say and meet some of the people that you hear. You hear the voices a lot of times, or you see their pictures or whatever. To actually get to meet them, besides Facebook, stuff like that. And you know what? If you have something that you want other people to hear, somebody wants to, like, the first time going to these things, that everybody's willing to listen to what you have to say. As far as, like, if you had any experiences or any ideas or anything like that. It's a really cool thing, and it's just a really good group of people as far as that goes. And that's what I think.
Oh, okay, great. Carey, what do you think?
Who?
Carey.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, right here she is. She ain't on the phone. I'll give it to her.
He forgot who I was. You know what? I think it was just I can't really choose. I don't know what my very favorite part was. You know, it was really great to like camp out with everybody and get ready for that. But as far as the conference went, I guess you know, the kids' games, and it's not because Terry and I planned them, you know, but you know, I was surprised at how many people brought their families because you know, they didn't know that if it would be safe to bring kids. And then they said that when they saw it on the internet, you know, advertised, that they knew that it would be. And there's so many young Bigfooters interested, you know, which is awesome because that's our future. That they, you know, got to come and listen and experience and go to the different vendors, and their parents said they knew it was safe for them because there was games, so they knew that they could bring them along and that they would enjoy it.
Well, Carey, I'll be honest with you, I was skeptical about those kids' games because what was that one, the cornhole thing? What was that game?
Oh yeah, it's just a beanbag toss into a hole.
What do you call that?
Well, they call it cornhole, right, Brian? Because you had people make that for you.
Yeah, cornhole. Yeah.
Yeah. So that sounds like a prison game. That doesn't sound like something for children. So, but you know what? I was wrong. Everyone seemed to have a good time.
Well, we had a lot of the dads. It was so cool because I brought Nerf gun game, you know, and the kids would shoot at the targets and stuff in the skull, and anyways, they really had fun with that. But a lot of the dads would be like, "Can I play too?" And they just had a good time, you know, playing and stuff. And then I got some quite a few reports, and I was able to like tell them where to, you know, what group was closest to them and who to see, you know, and contact so that they could get their report out, you know, as witnesses, which was pretty cool. So I think you know, just educating everybody and telling them what we've been up to, but it was cute because, you know, mothers are like, "Do you really look for Bigfoot?" You know, and their kids are like, their eyes are all big, you know. Yeah. It didn't take much to impress them, so it made me feel good.
Thanks, Carey.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Brian, what do you think? Which out of the weekend's events, which events do you think would appeal to someone who's new to the conference scene?
Well, first, Bruce, they were talking about how we call it cornhole here. Up in New England, they call it hide the deflated footballs in the hole before the referee comes. But anyway, I think Carey and Dave, they're both right. I mean, you go there to meet all these, you know, different researchers who are out there, you know, doing the work, maybe to see some possible or alleged casts, drawings, and hear about people's experiences. I think that's one of the funnest things about going to any of these conferences. I want to hear people who maybe have never, you know, told about their experience come forward, like the one guy did when me and Fred were talking about him hunting down there in Beaver Creek, and his, I think it was his nephew saw that creature, and he wouldn't go back in the woods for a month and a half. He actually had to drag him back into the woods. He was scared to go back. So to me, that's the funnest part of it. And then also meeting up with all your friends and seeing everybody, and the camaraderie that you have. That's the funnest part for me.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think Fred Saluga, who came to the camp out, you know, he enjoyed meeting up with all his friends too, both of them. So I have one last question.
You're just mad because he woke you up he tried to wake you up on early Saturday morning. That's why you're mad.
Yeah, So Fred Saluga comes charging into the campground at what was it, 7:30 a.m.
Yeah,
now mind you, most of us had been, you know, on these campouts, we're always out late because we're either, you know, doing night hikes or whatever. But it's always a late night, and so Fred Saluga, he comes sashaying into the campground, blaring his music in his car radio as loud as he can. And he gets in and he starts yelling my name.
That was the Righteous
campground.
Brothers he was playing. That was good stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
We like Fred. Even if he does wake everybody up.
There's something seriously wrong with that man. I'm telling you.
You two are too funny together.
I don't know. Why do you guys, and you two, Carey and Dave, I was sitting politely in the audience. Why do you guys have to call me out during your presentation? Why can't you just do your presentation and not mention the creature seeker or deflated footballs? Why is that?
Because it makes it fun.
Yeah, well, you know what?
People want to know these side things. It's important.
Well, let's you know what? Let's just give it a shot next time. Let's just have a conference and not pull the creature seeker into it or try to instigate a riot.
I can't do that. I'm sorry.
With the Pittsburgh Steelers fans.
Okay,
you would be mad, Bruce.
Don't mention my cooking then. Show videos of my cooking.
So
at camp.
When was it? Saturday night? We were going to show a movie Saturday night, and that kind of fell through. So what we ended up doing was showing some highlights of the Creature Weekend, the auction that we had for the Dollars for Scholars folks. Correction, formerly Dollars for Scholars. They're now called the Guernsey County Educational Service Center. But we were showing these clips, and one of those clips happened to be of our camp out in the Allegheny National Forest last year was Dave and Carey, the kids, and me, and it was a hilarious series of clips which try to chronicle Carey's failed cooking at the camp out, and that was pretty fun. Everyone thought that was humorous.
Yeah, when's that gonna stop?
Yeah. Well, you know, Terry, we may have to we may have to negotiate the terms of the truce.
Okay, I'm not willing to. It's all good.
One last question for Mark Hudak. So
sure.
So for people who are experienced researchers, people who've been out in the field or been to conferences, in your opinion, Mark, what was the best part of the Beaver Creek Bigfoot Days conference for someone who is kind of a veteran?
First of all, the whole thing. I thoroughly enjoyed the camaraderie of everybody. I thoroughly enjoyed and can't thank Brian Seech and everybody else for the opportunity to be there. And I got to give a shout out from our group, the Ohio Bigfoot Co-op, for participating, helping out, setting up chairs, doing everything that we did to help out to make the event happen. The whole thing was great.
You guys did a great job. Thanks for coming, guys.
You guys all rock. You guys all rock.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so impressed with the way this movement, the way the whole thing went. It was great. And I think the funnest thing that I get to do is to meet the people and to help educate them. Because I think a lot of people just come out to events like that just to learn and find out.
Mark, when at the end, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
At the end, you had a witness coming in, and he saw Terry and I and John, and we told him as soon as you're done speaking, and he was very like excited, but yet concerned that nobody believed what the photos that he had. Were you able to speak with him and help him out?
Oh yeah. Matter of fact, we're going to do a follow-up with him this weekend, Saturday. We're going to meet him out at Howland Park up here in Ohio, and we're going to go check out his site. He's been researching it for a while, I guess, and he's got a few other pictures too, I guess.
That's
so
awesome.
we're going to go check it out with him, and hopefully we can find some evidence.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, he was like, my wife makes fun of me. Nobody believes me. I knew I had to come here, and I just knowing that you're helping people that are he just seemed, he was very compassionate and concerned too. You knew that he has been seeing something. So it makes you feel good knowing you're helping out.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Yep.
And I will say this, Mark, and you were there. It was really nice to hear the locals telling us about their eyewitness encounters. Wasn't it, Mark? Remember that one guy who's at the Creature Weekend table there?
Oh,
and
yeah.
He was telling us that was really interesting.
Yeah, about that one. What did he call that? That one hollow down in Box Canyon. That one Box Canyon area.
Yeah.
Where they would drive. His theory was that they were driving deer in there.
Yeah.
That the Bigfoot were driving deer in there. And once they got them in there, they pretty much had them locked tight. Which, from the investigation I did a few years ago over there at Morgan's Knob, it was almost the same thing where they were driving the deer.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they're, as far as I'm concerned, they're highly intelligent. And they obviously have speech or some kind of communication between them. Because they're organized enough from what I've seen going on there at Morgan's Knob that they know what they're doing. They want to put on a deer drive and get some deer, they're going to do it.
Well, according to the guy's testimony, it seems that they do work cooperatively to trap the deer.
Yeah, another thing that he was saying too that really struck a chord is him and the guy that was with him. I think it was his son or something like that. At the one time, they were hearing the wood knocks, and they were hearing single wood knocks. And I firmly believe that a single wood knock is a warning to other Bigfoot that something is in the area, and to be on the lookout, or to raise your alert level.
Mm-hmm.
I really do think that, because there's been other instances where people go and knock 3 times on a tree and they'll get the same resounding answer back. But every time they hit one time, a lot of times they don't hear nothing.
Right.
Because they take it as a warning and go away.
Billy, did you have any questions for our guests?
No, I did not. I've been sitting here and enjoying it. Of course, me and Janine wasn't able to join everybody, but it sounds like it was a lot of fun. So sorry we missed it.
Oh, we missed you guys, but it's hard to do everything.
It was fun until Fred Saluga woke everyone up at 7:30 in the morning after we'd been out all night.
Heck, I was already up. I had my first cup of coffee down.
You know, also, I really enjoyed the pancake breakfast, and they had a Bigfoot print on the pancakes, and it goes for such a great cause, Brian. I don't know if you mentioned, what all the funds went toward.
Yeah, all the funds went towards the Friends of Beaver Creek Park Board. They were, for renovation of different things in the park, like the paddle wheel, or just fixing up the some of the old buildings there. They really, those people, they give of their time they don't even have sometimes, just to because funding's been cut in all the state parks, unfortunately, and they have to do these fundraisers and events to keep this stuff going, and they deserve a ton of credit.
And might I add, the buckwheat pancakes were just excellent. They
Yep.
were stone ground at the mill there.
Yep.
That is a working mill.
That is cool. And when you put the syrup on, the way that foot appeared was pretty. I was amazed.
I think Bruce had second and thirds and fourths. We stopped counting after a couple, I think.
They were
I did. I think I had a third pancake. I'm not ashamed to admit that, Brian.
They didn't have prime rib with it. They didn't have prime rib underneath the pancakes.
And I looked too.
Did you?
I did. Brian, why I couldn't even enjoy my pancake breakfast because Fred Saluga came right over to the table where I was sitting. He was starting in on me.
He missed you.
Yeah. And I finally had to say, Fred, did you forget something at home, like staying there? Because he was really annoying me.
I like how he was giving me winky eyes and waving and kissy lips, and then he'd go to the other side and be giving you these ugly faces and.
Yeah, and he was flipping me off from the other side of the room.
Yeah.
I look over, and he'd be giving me the middle finger.
I'm sure the people he was sitting beside enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, you're number one, Bruce.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure, Mark.
He liked you. I don't know what he'd do if he couldn't pick on you.
That's right.
I just have one
I know.
question. Going back real quick to your backpacking trip, Bruce.
Yeah.
I got to see the pictures from the trail cam, which they were pretty cool just watching, And all of a sudden, it was like from 5 to 7 in the morning, Greg disappears totally. Like he's there and he's like sleeping on his mat out under the tree, and then he's gone, and he doesn't come back until it was like 7. Do you think he was
noticed
abducted?
that.
Yeah, I'm like wondering if he was abducted. I wish Fred was on to talk.
The portal opened up.
Well, there are a couple of theories on that. So Greg is a hardcore kind of guy when it comes to the outdoors. He wasn't even going to bring a tent. So one night he actually did sleep outside, like under the stars, like just under a blanket. I mean, and leaning up against a tree. So I think we noticed that in the record, the trail cam record, that he was gone for a couple hours. So Dave and I were talking about this, and one theory is that he probably turned into a werewolf and was out stalking.
I know.
And then he returned. And then the other theory was that because he's really big into espresso, isn't he, Dave? Or was it espresso or cappuccino?
Yeah, it was like all these like different coffees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He treated us to Turkish coffee for the whole time we were out there, right, Dave?
Oh, here, let me give him the phone. Sorry.
Dave, was it not Turkish coffee that Greg treated us to?
What?
Was it Turkish coffee that Greg made for us every morning that we were out there?
Yeah, that was Turkish coffee. It was really good.
Greg is really into his coffee because
he's all about the coffee.
We did a pre-planning phone call. It was a conference call between Dave, Greg, and myself to plan out the event. And Greg announced that he wasn't going to bring a compass because he was concerned about the weight, but he was going to bring his espresso maker. So, there you go.
The compass was way too heavy, and the espresso maker was just too much important to leave behind. And it was a coffee-filled weekend, and if there was a society for coffee drinkers, I'm sure he belongs to it.
I'm sure. And he made that coffee really strong because, you have a cup of that at night, and you'd be you'd be up till like 5 a.m. No problem.
It was no problem for us to stay up till 3, 5 o'clock. I know one night, 5 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. And it was right after drinking his coffee, and I don't know. It's just, where's he from again?
I think he's from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, no, but what is he? He's
he's Carpatho-Rusin.
Yeah, Carpatho-Rusin, and I tell you, when you're Carpatho-Rusin, them boys, you love your coffee,
Yeah, you really do. You really do.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well.
He told me that he thinks that I'm Carpatho-Rusin too.
Are you?
I think I am. I have to research it.
I believe you are.
It's the first time we talked about it, and he quoted my last name. He says, I bet you're, yeah. Yeah, I think I am too.
I think Bruce is a little bit Carpatho-Rusin.
You know what, Dave, I was just going to say that after you drink 5 cups of his coffee, you automatically become like an honorary Carpatho-Rusin.
So we're in a society now?
We're in a society now.
Oh, thank God. I was really feeling left out for the most of the week.
Well, we're running a little bit late, so I would like to thank you all for calling into the show, and look forward to next year's Bigfoot Days at Beaver Creek. And you guys all did a great job. Mark, you had a great presentation. Dave and Carey, you guys had a really entertaining presentation.
Well, wait a
Brian,
minute.
Brian, you had a good presentation, but your co-host there, Fred, brought it down. You lost some points for that.
Here we go.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for coming, supporting the parks, and we should maybe know sometime in November if there definitely will be another one, maybe an expanded one in October. We're going to let everybody know when if it happens. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Awesome.
All right, great.
Another one in November, that quick? That would be really cool.
October.
Oh, October.
Yeah.
Next October. Yeah, next October.
Yeah, next October, yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a great night. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Guys, thanks.
All righty, Bruce.
That wraps up another show, Billy.
Hey, right, we're up another show. Now, my understanding is we've got a guest already for next week. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Not yet, Billy, but because things haven't been set up yet. But keep an eye out for the website. We'll post it. We'll post the speaker.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds like a plan, folks. We've only got about 5 more minutes left, so we figured it'd be a good opportunity to tell everybody good night. I want to thank each and every one of you. I mean, even when we take a 2-week break, summer break, all of our loyal listeners show up in the chat religiously, Bruce. I mean, we can't ask for no better than that.
Yeah. Oh, Billy, do we need to talk about the audio sponsor?
Well, yeah, I could do that. Of course, we kind of got off the sidetrack. We started the show out. But we will remind everyone that being a listener of the show, you have an opportunity to check out our sponsor. And of course, our sponsor is audible.com. You can actually go to Audible Trial. I can't even remember, Bruce. It's been so long. audibletrial.com/Sasquatch Watch Radio. And if you go there, you get a free audiobook, and you also get a 30-day trial service so that you can check them out. They've got over 100, and my understanding is over 180-some thousand book titles now to choose from, so I'm sure you can find something within that number of audiobooks. But, it's a good opportunity if you don't have the time to sit down and you want to, find something else to do other than listening to the boring radio. You can listen to an audiobook as you're driving to or from work or commuting or whatever. So give it a try. Go to audibletrial.com/Sasquatch Watch Radio. Check it out. Take the opportunity to get your free audiobook and your 30-day trial of the service, and I'm sure you won't be disappointed. So I guess that's it. Again, we want to thank all of our listeners. Like I say, we take a few weeks off. You guys come back religiously. I want to thank Fred for calling in. It was wonderful to hear from Fred. Him and I have communicated a few times on Facebook, and it's nice to have him back in the States, and we always appreciate the service that our military gives us. They sacrifice their time, their families, and everything to keep us all safe and give us our freedom. So,
yes,
we greatly appreciate that.
Yes, thank you for your service, Fred.
Yeah. And so, until next time, next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, we hope you guys have a great rest of the week and a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Sasquatch Watch Radio. We appreciate every one of our listeners. We hope you enjoyed our program. Don't forget to tune in again next week for another fun and informative program. Please visit our website at www.sasquatchwatchradio.com and leave us a comment about the show. We want to hear from you. Until next time, keep on looking for the big guy.